Hey,
Hello, Dr. Shelley Cameron.
how are you doing, my dear friend Sharon Gordon?
Excited to be sitting
Excellent.
down chatting with you and excited that Cherry Baby is finally here. We did it.
Perfecto. So my guest today is Sharon Gordon, and she's a 2025 storytelling winner and first-time author of her debut book, Sherry Baby. Yay! Congratulations, Sharon.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
We should tell them that I'm the winner of the What's Your Story Jamaica contest because a lot of people have been thinking that Cherry Baby is the winner for the contest. And I'm like, no, I am this talented. I do have too many things going on. I'm kidding, but it really is two different things. It is the What's Her Story Jamaica, which Dr. Shelley, I got to tell you, it's a good way to start. People are asking me when am I going to write that story. So we have work to do, Dr. Shelley. That
You,
story has
you,
to come
you
down.
have me cracking up. So what I wanted to further share is that we're here to have a conversation with our newest author, Sharon Gordon, on our experience. The actual goal is to inspire those who always have that dream to
Mhm,
do it and are afraid. So by the
mhm.
time we're done, you will learn more about Sharon and her iconic role in the community in
Oh,
New York and beyond. So I'm not going to share too much about her bio with you, but I'm sure by the time we're done with all of these questions, and she's going to answer, then we will find out and learn a lot more about our dear Sharon Gordon. Yay! So, Sharon, my first question to you is, what sparked the initial idea of your book? And the second part of that question is, how did that inspiration evolve throughout the
wow.
writing process?
The what sparked it was my granddaughter. On March 28th, my oldest granddaughter is going to turn 8.
Mm,
And so when she was born, it kind of grandchildren, and you're a grandmom, they kind of have you looking at your mortality or checking it out. Wait a minute, I'm closer this way on the continuum that I am that way. And I looked at my life and I said, they're not in Jamaica. They don't know this rich culture that they have. And I was
okay.
blessed to have been raised at the feet of so many icons in our culture, Miss Lou being one of my main mentors. And you
Mm,
do know that but probably your audience don't know that I do channel Miss Lou in a lot of ways as a storyteller, performing Anansi stories, songs, the folk songs, teaching people the history of the connection between Ghana and Jamaica. And so when my granddaughter came, I said, what stories will I have to share with her? And how many
mm.
others are out there like her? And then I was like, I need to do something. And now you and others have been inspiring me for years. Sharon, when are you going to write these stories? When are you going to write these stories? And I had done the audiobook for Nicole Dennis Ben, Patsy.
Yeah.
And she then invited me, as she had been invited me to her workshop. She does these writing workshops, Stuyvesant workshop. And Dr. Shelley, I registered, then I unregistered because I live this very hectic life and
I
underscore
know
hectic,
that,
right?
right?
And she said to me, Sharon, you have to do the class. And so at the end of 2019, I signed up. Well,
Mm,
Dr. Shelley, I wrote, you know how you do these writing workshops because you do them and
right, right, right.
prompt you and they prompt you. And I was prompted to write a story. And in writing the story, I thought I was writing a particular story, but Nicole and the people in the class said to me, who is the little girl in the corner that peed on herself? And you just kind of overlooked her. And I said, oh, that's Sherry Baby. And everybody said, well, we want to know about Sherry Baby. And I was taken aback, Dr. Shelley, but and they're like, no, who is she? And when you're in a workshop and everybody's like, we want to know, they challenged me to write something about this little girl. And Dr. Shelley, I got to tell you, the rest is history. COVID came, we were in COVID, we were in the workshop, and I wrote Sherry Baby during that period of 2019. And I finished, I wrote it during COVID. And Nicole and Teresa and all my friends that were in that workshop, my cohorts, as they would say,
Right,
I
right.
must say that and I know when they see this and hear this, they're going to laugh and say, yup, that's exactly what happened. I was resistant. I was like, that's not a story. I'm over here telling you this story and you asking me. But isn't that what writing is? And isn't that what
Right,
the
right, right,
coaching and all of that is?
right.
I don't know how to turn off my I don't know how to turn off my notifications, and so I have to figure
That's
out
fine.
how
That's
to do
fine.
it. So
That's
forgive
fine.
me. I'm just
No,
going to turn
no.
it off altogether and tell the person that I'm going to call them back because I don't know how to do my notifications. Sorry about that,
It's all
family.
right. It's
This is
good.
my life. This is Sharon. This is Sharon. This is what happens. I'm turning it all the way. Okay, there you go. I think
That's fine. So
so
what
forgive me.
I'll bring you back to where you began,
Yes.
which is what sparked the initial idea, and you
Mhm.
shared that it was for a writing workshop. Now let's go move on to something else as we want to know a little bit more about you. Can you walk us through your typical writing routine? Were there
Mm.
anything unexpected, like challenges or rituals that emerged as you were writing?
Wow.
Post that workshop.
Well, I'll tell you that. Wow, Dr. Shelley. I'm a very intense person, and I must say that at the outset. So whatever I set my mind to do, I
Mhm,
become very obsessive
mhm,
about it.
mhm,
It's just
mhm,
part of my personality.
mhm,
I the minute I sat down and started, Sherry Baby came alive and she literally wrote me, right?
mhm,
I don't know how to, she wrote the story through me. I
mhm,
it wasn't, and I've always heard from authors. I've done, the Hurston writing workshop. I've done workshops, and they say, "Oh, these characters, they embody you, and they come inside
mhm,
of you, and they take over." And I used to be like, "Yeah, right, Dr. Shelley, Dr. Shelley, Sherry Baby, she came alive."
mhm.
And so I would write for days. I became
Wow.
very manic.
Mhm,
And I remember my son and dear friends being concerned because I would just turn the phone off.
mhm,
Yes.
mhm,
And days, I would go 4 days in a manic state of just,
mhm,
it's like I had to get it out. I had to get it
mhm,
out. I had to get
mhm,
it out. And then I would sleep. And in my sleep, I would be thinking about what was written, and I would get up out of my sleep, go on my computer, and start writing again. And then it would be 4 days again. And this went on for a very long time
mhm,
to the point where family and friends were starting to get concerned, but I knew I was okay. I knew I
mhm.
was literally, it's like I was giving birth. It's as if
Right,
this thing was
right.
inside of me and I couldn't sit still. It's as if
Yeah.
then it wasn't just Sherry Baby that was talking to me. The other characters started talking to me. And I
Mhm,
was like, you can't sit still when the characters are talking to you. And I'll say this to writers who are listening, that nudge you get, where you say, my
mhm,
spirit tell me, or me feel it, go write it.
mhm.
Go write it. You and Nicole, some of the best coaching I've ever had. You've all said to me, and other writers said to me, don't worry about the sequencing, just write.
Right,
Get it,
exactly.
download it. So that's what
Exactly.
I was doing. And then
Right.
what would happen is in the process, and I swear this works, you're downloading. And then when you start to put the story together, the story comes together and you remember, wait a minute, I have something that fits right here. And you go and you find it and boom,
Yeah.
you go, oh my God, it fits. And then you're doing something and you say, wait, I wrote something about a red car or a red dress. And you find it and you go, boom. I swear to you, writers out there listening, I swear to you, it works. Your spirit will guide you, the characters will guide you. They know, they know. And if you are open to the process, now you cannot be resistant to it. You have to let the process really take over. I promise you. What I'm saying to you, you might be laughing now and going, Sharon is nuts, but I'm telling you, it's a very nutty place to be because
Ah,
you are doing these things that your spirit, your brain is telling you, get up and write. I remember I used to be, let's say, getting ready to go make breakfast for myself or something. And something about the breakfast would trigger something about a memory about how grandma did something because a lot
mm,
of what I wrote about is taken from my life and
right.
stories and people that I know and I've made it into this fictionalized story. But a lot of it is based loosely on characters that I know, people I know, and a lot of the
Mhm.
characters are composites of a lot. But I would remember things that grandma would do for breakfast. And I would run back up the steps and I go, and before you know it, it's 8 o'clock at night. I swear. And I started off making breakfast. I am sharing this to say that was my process. It sounds manic,
Mhm.
but that's what happens when you're writing. And then Then listen what happens after that. Then you're spent. Then it's
Mhm.
like you're spent. It's like you've done everything,
Emptied
or
everything out.
emptied everything out, and then you're weak. You
Ah,
and you curl up in your bed for days and you're shaking and you're saying, did I do that? Did I write those things? How am I going to go take those things and put them together now? And you start to be totally obsessed now with putting
right.
it together. And that becomes another obsession with you. And then
So
you have now,
I wanted to just ask you about I did ask you about the challenges and you shared the process that it just evolved and it
yes,
continued and it was easier for you. You locked yourself away. So I'm
I did.
hearing possible challenges were not necessarily with you, but with others who are trying
It
to
was
reach
with
out
the
to
others.
you.
It was
But
with the others.
taking it a step further, I am understanding from you is when I actually met you, when you were ready now to put the book together. What did I do? What did I say to you?
You told me to stop writing.
That's where your challenge
Stop
was.
writing.
You were
My
writing too
challenge
much.
was I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop editing. I couldn't stop rewriting. Dr. Shelley said to me, Sharon, stop writing. Writers, I'm telling you, listen to your editor, listen to your coach, because you will not let it go. I was resistant. I would not let go of this story. And I have. I swear to you, Dr. Shelley saw, we did a screen share, she saw. I don't even want to tell you how many versions that
Right,
I have
right,
written in the
right.
family. So the challenge would be, how do you let go? How do you release this work now to a coach, to an editor, to
What did you
anybody
do?
else to
So
read
what
it?
did you do in that regard? Very simple.
I just let it go and sent it
That's
to
the
you
point.
and
You just let it
cried
go.
and cried.
So
I
many
said, Dr.
pages.
Shelley,
People are
it's not the
trying to
right
write
version.
pages and pages, and you had to just stop. I said, stop. Right. And that's when we reached out to the editor who
Who
took
was the
over the,
perfect editor? You
yes.
found me oh, can we talk about that for a minute? Because prayers work, family, prayers work. And when you're working with people and you're in alignment, Dr. Shelley, I told Dr. Shelley what my prayer was for an editor. Because of the nature of my work, I knew I needed someone who understood Jamaican linguistics, who understood
Right.
Jamaican culture, and who was schooled and learned and
Mm-hmm.
intelligent and a
Mm-hmm.
lover of Jamaican culture and who
Right,
understood it
right,
and understood the nuances and who had an appreciation for patois, because that was another thing I should say that came to me strongly. And I feel like the spirit of Miss Lou guided me too through this, because I kept hearing, I would write something one way, um, and Miss Lou's spirit or the spirit of the ancestors, they would come and tell me, no, mm-mm, write it this way. I swear this was happening. So I did a lot of that. So I knew I needed an editor who could appreciate that,
right,
because I
right,
could have written
right,
it in the
right,
Englishized way,
right,
making up
right,
a word
right,
here, but it wouldn't be authentic to the story that Sherry Baby wanted me to tell.
right,
Sherry Baby wanted her voice, not my voice.
right,
It wasn't my voice. So I was intellectualizing and making it more standard Englishy,
right, right,
Americanized.
right, right,
And
right,
Sherry Baby was like, no, I
right.
want talk Jamaican, how Jamaican talk in that period, because I'm writing about a specific time in history.
So maybe we could just interject here and tell a brief overview of what Sherry Baby is all about, because you were talking about patois and all of that, and for the benefit of those who are non-Jamaican, the
On Jamaica.
linguistic ones, if you want to share what is patois and all of that, so that
Um,
everybody can, follow through and understand the
okay.
direction you took.
So patois is a dialect spoken in Jamaica, and patois is really uh, 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 is amalgamation a good word?
What?
It's all of the people who conquered us. We use their language. So Spanish words are in there, English words are in there. You hear the Twi, because we're Ghanaians. A lot of us, the Twi language is in there,
Yeah,
and our own Jamaicanness, because we create words as Jamaican.
yeah,
And
yeah,
Jamaicans speak in a particular way. My friends like to say to me, we speak backwards. It's not backwards, it's the way we speak.
right.
So patois is very unique. And then there's a sound that comes with patois. Patois is it's an oral language, right?
Mm-hmm.
So me even attempting to write it, I was really
Mm-hmm.
following in Miss Lou's footstep, because she took that challenge on, and she did that. And that's why it was important that I have an editor who
Ah,
understood that
exactly.
and could embrace that and help
Exactly.
me uniform the thing,
Exactly.
button it up
Exactly.
nicely. And so the language is a language that is mostly spoken.
Right.
So here it is now. I was writing the language, but in writing the language, we had to write it because it's a lot of dialect, folks. I can tell you that in Share Baby, it's the dialogue that
Mm-hmm.
carries the story a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
so the dialect had to appear authentic in the dialoguing. So I couldn't dialogue it, Englishizing it, Americanizing it. It would
Yes,
not have
it's
worked.
an hour.
It wouldn't have worked. So, and Dr. Shelley, can I throw a big joke about Dr. Shelley? Even that Dr. Shelley had her challenges reading the dialect. She hears it, and the
Yes,
average
yes,
Jamaican, and that can be something that
and
we
we
could
can speak
do
it.
something, and we speak it.
Right.
It's the reading of it. And that's why I know Sherry Baby is going to be such a hit with folks,
Mhm.
because to see the dialect written the way I've written it in this voice, right?
Right.
And then to have an editor who was able to take that and elevate it for me.
Right.
It was a prayer that was answered. And we just got to
Right.
shout out Raquel Simpson right now,
Right.
my
Right.
editor,
Yes,
because
of course. Of course. She
she
did an
she
amazing job
really,
with
yes,
the because you needed someone who would not change the voice in the
because it's
book.
the essence of the
It's the
book. The
essence
book
of
had a
it.
certain essence. And like I said to people, this story takes place between 1969 and 1975. In
Mm.
Jamaica at that time, the language had a certain rhythm to it. There are certain words that we used during that period. A lot of you are hearing words now that are more 90s words, right?
Uh,
Recent 20.
sounds like you need to have a class on that.
Okay, Dr. Shelley, I yield. Yes, I follow whatever Dr. Shelley tells me. Whenever she throws a nugget my way, I know to take it. Yes, Dr. Shelley, let's do that. Let's do that. Because,
There's another question I wanted to ask you in following up on that,
uh-huh,
and it is to the curious. I think you've been getting some questions whether Sherry Baby is a little girl and the book is for what
I don't.
age group, right? So tell us a little bit about who
So,
the
so
audience really is.
So my audience really is, I would say 18-year-olds and up, but I have a friend that just gave it to her 14-year-old.
Hmm.
She and the 14-year-old are going to read it. She had a copy for herself. That's another thing that's happening. I'm so thrilled. And thanks to everyone who's been, the book just got released on Monday. And I can't tell you how many people are sending me screenshots. Their book
Yeah,
is delivered, it's in their hands, they're reading. And then the Kindle people are reading too. I'm talking about the paperback people. The Kindle people are on and reading already. So I'm excited, and they're buying 2 and 3 copies. Somebody told
yeah.
me they want 10 copies of my book. I'm still stumped. I'm like, what? They're sending it as gifts out to friends. This
Awesome,
person isn't even
awesome.
Jamaican. This person's
Um,
not Jamaican, but they're Jamaica friendly.
right,
Right?
right,
And
right,
so,
right.
so, so to come back to what you're saying, so
Yeah.
I forgot what I was saying.
We're talking about the audience, not
The audience. And so my
18. You said the
audience is the
14-year-old.
18 and up. And
Right.
also not just Jamaicans, but people who love Jamaica, friends of Jamaica, Caribbean,
Exactly.
Caribbean folks in the diaspora, friends of the Caribbean. I say to folks, if you enjoy Zora Neale Hurston, you'll enjoy Sherry Baby.
Perfect.
If you have read Chekhov, you will enjoy Sherry
Perfect.
Baby, because they all did the same thing.
Perfect.
If you enjoy Alice Walker, you'll enjoy Sherry Baby.
Perfect.
We're using the language of the people. We're
Yes.
speaking the
Yes.
people's language, and we're bringing it to life, because, like you said, we've always spoken it. We
Yes.
hear it, but we
Right.
rarely ever see it written and have to read it.
Lovely
That's why I'm going to
conversation
do
with
the
you.
audiobook. That's why I'll be doing the
Yes,
audiobook.
that is coming too. Excellent. I think your audience is also waiting on it. So I want to ask you another question, which is many writers face moments of self-doubt. Was
Mm-hmm.
there a point when you
Yes,
considered abandoning that
I
project?
did. So I should tell them the truth,
And
right?
how did you push through? Tell
So the
us.
book was finished in 2020, March. The book was finished, done. I put it down. I got a call to do a film with my friend Ron Elliott, who I do films with, independent filmmaker. And I said to him,
Mhm.
Ron, I just finished doing my book. And he says, let's look at it. And I'm like, hell no. I sat on Sherry Baby for 4 years, 4 years, and did not touch it, would not touch it, was afraid to go back.
Mhm.
This is after I'd done all that I'd done. when I went back to it, what do you think I started doing again, family? Doing the same thing, rewriting and
that we spoke about before.
and this is something that for if you're my kind of writer, if you're like me, where your brain just doesn't turn off, that's why you need a good coach because you don't know when to stop yourself. And because you're so scared, I think it was in my fear of letting it go. I kept using the rewriting as like a little cushion, like, oh no, I can't let it go yet because I'm still tweaking. Oh
Right,
no,
right.
I can't do it because I'm still, oh, I'm working on this piece. And
Yeah,
no, you got to let
right,
it go,
right.
family. And so I think for me, I was afraid to release this book. I was afraid to put it out there. I was petrified. I got sick. To the day I sent my book to Dr. Shelley, she will tell you I was a basket case because we were on a call like this. She made me do it in real time because she says, I am not leaving you today. You are hitting send now. She said, go on. She made me share my screen and show her. And in my panic, I selected even the copy, which is not the copy I wanted to send. And she said, Mina Care, this is the one we're working with. Dr. Shelley lovingly told me, Care, this is the one God make you send. This is the one we working with. This is what goes to the editor. Family, I got to tell you, she saw me. I was sick. I was physically sick. I was sick. I had diarrhea. I had rashes. I had bumps on my face.
Right, right, right.
I couldn't sleep. I was having hot flashes. If she got one more text from me, she was done with me. She's like, I don't want to hear nothing from you. It's gone. It's gone, Sharon. I said, Dr. Shelley, it's the wrong version. Can I get it back and send you Dr. Sharon? Stop. Leave it alone.
You
It's
have a you
gone,
have a you have
Sharon.
a very good memory, right? And
I
that
do.
actually happens with authors, because when you get into that spirit and that moment when you're now scared, all of those signs and symptoms that you're sharing is all as a result of it doesn't affect only writing, but it affects other areas. So that was something that really stood out, and I'm glad you remember the journey because this is going to
You,
help others.
yes.
So the other question is, how did your personal experiences and background influence the themes, the characters in your book?
Heavily, heavily.
Okay.
I wrote from what I know. I wanted to tell a story. This little girl has been, well, let me back up. I've always been a storyteller,
Mhm.
always been a
You're a
story.
journalist, right?
I'm a journalist for
Right,
years,
right,
award-winning journalist. I've been
right,
a journalist
right.
all my life, I should say, and an announcer and a radio personality as well.
Uh,
And so I've always told stories, and people have
yeah.
always said to me, Sharon, when are you going to write these stories? Sherry Baby is a story about a little girl during the 1969 to 1975 period. Now, that was a period that stays with me. And I wanted to write about themes of colorism, classism, political identity. I wanted to write about family and just how family in
Mhm,
Jamaica is
mhm,
very nuanced,
mhm,
out of many one people
mhm.
that a family has to deal with, when my mother would say, no, my mother, who was an extremely fair-skinned person, would say things like, no, bring nobody blacker than me coming to the house. But all the men in her life are very black. You as a child, you're wondering, what the heck?
Should I walk in the talk, right?
You're not walking that. So these were the things and the stories. And then I grew up in that time around in a village in Rollington Town that was filled with people who were so animated, characters they all were. And so that's how Sherry Baby came. I decided I was going to tell this story using a little girl, a protagonist it's rarely been done. And I haven't seen it done in Caribbean literature where a little girl, feisty little girl, a
Mhm.
feisty little girl
Nice, the little girl.
is telling the story, but she's basically being the eyes of the community. She's reporting on her community. She's actually telling on her family, on her community, and she's telling on them in a way that is going to cause us all to see ourselves through her eyes and
Yeah,
go, oh my gosh, I know
yeah,
that. Or,
yeah.
oh yes, my family did that. Or that happened to me too. Or That's what I wanted to do with SHERIBABY.
Right.
So yes, it is based on characters that and people in my life. I have kept there are names in the book that I pulled straight out of my family and straight out of my friends and my school experiences in honor of those people. I did not change. There are names I use because I wanted names like I was told, oh no, you can change it. I'm like, no, I want those names to be there because that's the inspiration for that character, you
Okay.
know. And so when they see themselves, they go, oh, I use my aunt's names in the
Mhm,
book.
mhm, mhm.
There is an Auntie Irene, an Auntie Donna, and an Auntie Pearline. Those are real
Right.
people. But
But
they're
some
characters,
others are not,
and
right?
my God, the others are,
Others are
and their characters are composites,
right.
right? Even though I'm using their names, their characters are composites of other people. But I wanted it to be in that vein because that's the trigger. The name I use for SHERIBABY's mom, Miss Rose, that's my mom's name. Miss Rose is
Mm,
a real person. And
right.
I borrowed heavily from the character of Miss Rose because
Right.
she was a character.
Right.
The grandmother of SHERIBABY, is a real person. That's the
Yes.
mother of the
Yes.
world
Yes.
famous Beres Hammond, who is my grandmother. And she served a role as the maroon healer, the maroon herbalist, the maroon who had she knew what every dream meant. She knew how to show up when we didn't even know, long before there was telephone and thing. Mama would just show up and we'd wonder how. She had the medicine to heal everything. I had to write about her and the other women folk who were
Right.
like her, the ones who deliver the babies in our community.
Yes.
You don't go to
Yes. Yes.
hospitals to deliver
So
baby.
wow, so you're sharing a lot there. So it is, I'm sure a lot of persons are can't wait to get their hands on this book. So I wanted to ask you the next question. What was the most valuable piece of feedback you received? Maybe you mentioned it before, but if it wasn't already mentioned, is there any valuable feedback that you received during the writing and editing process, and
The
how did
writing
that
and editing
shape
process.
the final manuscript?
I'll tell you that Raquel,
Right.
Raquel, the first thing Raquel
Raquel
did
is the editor,
is our
right?
editor. The
Mhm.
first thing she did, because she knew that I was petrified, petrified. When I say I'm thinking about it, my stomach just sinks right now because I was petrified to let it go. You sit
Right.
on something for 4 years and then all of a
Yes,
sudden,
yes, it's your
boom,
baby. It's your
my
baby.
baby, she's 4 years
Right.
old and I'm letting her go.
Right.
But Raquel wrote me, she understood, just like you, how much this meant to me and how
Mhm.
scared I was, apprehensive. And she wrote me a note to tell me that she read the book first before even editing it and how much she loved it and how it
Yeah.
reminded her of her childhood growing up
Yeah.
in Jamaica and that she would take care of my baby for me.
Ah,
And that for me was like a bomb
there,
in Gilead, you know,
right. That
like
reassurance that you actually
reassurance.
needed.
Yes. And then as she would write and get to certain places, she would send me notes. And those notes encouraged me, even when we were doing a tweak with something or
Yeah.
whatever, it was always coming from a place to what would say increase, not
Right.
to diminish.
Right.
It
Right.
was always to enhance,
That's the
never
point
to
of an
take
editor.
away. And
Exactly.
that's the point of an editor.
Right.
And even when we wanted to rework something, she would always say, well, Sharon, you know the character.
Right.
You tell me,
Right.
this is what I'm getting.
Right.
We want to make sure that our readers are clear. So you tell me now, go and look at it and then come back to me with the phrase or the tweak. Sometimes it's just one little tweak, a word
That's
that I move around. That's all it needed.
mm-hmm.
So those were valuable
Right. Right.
feedback
Right.
that I got during the
Right.
process. You yourself uh, encouraged me and told me that I shouldn't, because I was concerned from those who said to me, well, you're writing the book in patois. Are you limiting your audience? And you and Raquel and others have said to me, Sharon, the book is authentic.
That's the
It's
point.
going to land with its
Right.
authenticity.
Right. Uh-huh.
People are going to get it. The story stands
Yes. Yes.
alone. It will resonate with folks. And I think that I needed that feedback because what happens in a situation like that, writers, is if you end up with the wrong coach and the wrong editor, then when
Right.
they give you certain feedback, you know what you do? You're thrown off your game, first of all.
Right.
Then
Right.
you're gonna go do a rewrite that is not
Right.
authentic
Right.
to what you started off doing. And before
Right.
you know it, you don't recognize your book. You don't
Right.
recognize your work.
Exactly. It's turned, it's changed completely. The whole
Change.
context of it has been changed.
So you want to make sure that your editor and your coach, your publishing coach, like I had with a Dr. Shelley, and your editor, like I had with a Raquel Simpson, that you're all on the same page. It's very
Right,
important
right,
because
right,
you will be open to their criticism
right,
and your suggestions. You
right,
won't take it in a way that is like negligible or with like
right,
defiance or anything. You'll be
right,
open to it,
right,
but you
right,
know that we're all on the same page.
right,
We're all
right,
heading in the same direction. And so that for me, those are valuable shares that I'll share
nice,
with
good.
folks.
So my last question was to what advice would you give to someone just beginning? But guess what? I think you almost shared it just now with them to find that right editor and that coach that you need, and of course that you listen. But is there anything else that you would
What
like
I
to add on that with the first time?
what I would like
Mhm.
to add is this. For those, I've been talking to people, I've sent the book out, and people, because it's a very attractive cover, shout outs to my designer,
Yes,
Marlon,
yes,
right?
yes,
It's an
yes,
attractive
yes.
cover. And so if you see it, you might think it's a children's book. It's not. It's
Right.
a don't judge a book by the cover experience here. I'm doing all of this was intentional, right, Dr. Shelley? We did this, we planned this,
Intentional.
intentional, because you don't judge a book by the cover, you see. Read it. And so that's what Sherry Baby is going to do to people. But what I'll say to people is people thought that this was going to be a book about my life in reggae because people identify me so much with the culture, with reggae and the
Right,
work that I've done in reggae and dancehall, right?
right, right,
No, that's not what this is.
right,
This is a
right,
story that I needed to tell, that I've wanted to tell.
right,
I
right,
say to a young writer or anyone getting ready to write, write the story you want to tell.
right,
Write the story that is resonating with you. You know it. People might be telling you, oh no, you should write about this. Don't listen to that. Listen to that inner voice. You know what you want to write about. You might not be confident in saying it or writing it, but I promise you listen to that inner voice. You
right,
start honoring that spirit, that inner
right,
voice, and
right,
you
right,
start writing. I
right,
guarantee you that story is going to take on a life. The characters are going to come alive. And before you know it, you're in the process. And then the process ends. Well, unlike you might have a Dr. Shelley that help you end it, or if you like me, you just keep going, going, going. But no, 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 no. It ends. It really does end. It really does end. And I'm just saying to you, listen to yourself, listen to your voice,
right,
trust
right,
your spirit, and write from that place. Let us write from what you know. Don't try
right,
to go make up nothing. Don't
right.
try to go write from what you know. A fisherman knows about fishing, right?
Exactly, exactly. I've always said that. Write what you know, write what you know. The only thing I would mention also is that people do judge a book by its cover, and I think the attractiveness of your cover brings people in. I think you've had feedback
A
from
lot.
persons about the cover
The cover.
and that amazing work that most authors don't hire an illustrator or anyone like that to design their book cover. So I suggest that the book that artwork that is done should be out there following the
Everywhere.
book everywhere as
But
well.
you know, Dr. Shelley, that everything I do is intentional. You know
Exactly.
that
I
I
know, I know.
wanted my cover to be different. Because this
Right,
is different. I
right,
don't know of a Caribbean character like Sherry Baby. I
yeah,
don't know of a book that is like this book. I
mm,
don't know of one. And
yeah,
so I wanted to be the one to bring this baby to life and
right,
to show people that we can embrace our culture and embrace our language and embrace
right.
the nuances of our food,
Yes,
our music,
yes.
everyday, day-to-day activities, and make a story about it.
Right. And
And
in the
that
back
would
of the book, I
resonate.
would remind you that in the back of the book, what do you have there?
Let me read what I have there.
No, no, you have, it's not for
A
you to read.
glossary.
Right. There's a
I did
glossary
a
for those who are
glossary. For
non-Jamaican
non-Jamaicans, I did a
and
glossary.
who want to
And
understand
who
it.
really want to understand. There's a glossary there. And thanks
Mhm.
again to Raquel and Dr. Shelley for encouraging me because I wanted a glossary because I
Right,
knew that there are people who are just literature lovers who would want to read this book. And I wanted to give them
right,
help with
right,
understanding
right,
certain
right.
words and idiomatic expressions. Yes.
Right. So we're going to close off now, but I just wanted to take you back to what you said just before in the last statement about your work in reggae. You just want to give us a one sentence or two on your work in reggae,
Oh,
because that's where you said a lot of your audience is, it resonates and it basically thought that you were writing a book about reggae.
well, I have done so much in that space. I have worked in reggae music as long as I can remember, probably about 40 years, as so many things as entertainment writer,
Okay.
editor,
Okay.
publicist,
Okay.
marketer, grassroots
Okay.
marketer,
Yes.
independent contractor
Yeah.
for labels, a
Yeah.
lot of artists and songs that you
Yeah.
love. I am the
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
behind making them into hits.
Yeah.
I'm a DJ, radio personality. I,
Yeah.
I've
And the
done
list
a lot.
goes on
The
and
list
on
goes
and
on and
on.
on and
And do you
on.
want to call some of the artists that you
Manager.
call it, some of the
Oh,
artists,
I've
the
worked with, we're
persons who,
celebrating 30 years of Buju Banton and Still Shiloh. That was my project.
right.
Beanie Man's Grammy album. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at it now
Yes.
with the orange cover
Yes. Yes.
artwork. That
Yes.
one,
Yes.
that's me. So many. Bounty Killer, Diana King, Marcia Griffiths, Freddie McGregor. We just lost Cocoa Tea.
Right.
Um,
Right.
I have
Right.
worked. Barris Hammond is my uncle, and I have worked with him.
Right.
He took me out on tour in the 90s when I was a young little whippersnapper and exposed me to. I'm a host. I host a lot of events and
Right.
say to people that I really earned my wings being on
Mm,
the road with Barris,
right.
where I had to do
Right.
publicity work, but also doing hosting and
Mhm.
everything else that we did. So I've worn many hats.
Right.
Tour
Right.
manager, tour just films. I've
Right.
done it all, videos, you name it.
And
Writing bios, press releases, setting
and
up
the list
marketing
goes
campaigns.
on and
And
on and on. And that's the reason
Sharon,
why I wanted them to get a flavor of who you are from your own mouth. So you share from your own words who you are and the involvement and the background of experiences. But now this is a time when you've stepped over into something different, a little bit different in writing your own work. What's next? Is
part two
Sherry
of
Babe
Story Baby.
is Sherry Baby the end all?
No.
Okay.
Well, there's part two of Sherry Baby that has to come
X,
because
right, right.
apparently people who have read it are already saying to me, and I'm going to say this in part two, you done part two yet? Eh? Come and say part two and part three. And I'm like, whoa,
Hold
whoa,
up.
easy, easy,
So
easy.
in that regard, what I think is, again, going back to authors, because this is all about sharing with new authors and those who are actually stepping out. The fact is that sometimes when you give birth, you're going to have more. The journey continues. One writing one book is not, you're not an author just writing one book. Yes, you're
Oh,
an author. You become an author, but you need to keep the momentum going. And I know also when I just met you, you also had poetry in you as well. So
I have
that
some
is
poetry.
also in the
I do. And I've
background.
been writing more. I've been writing more because when I won the What's Your Story Jamaica contest, which we
Yes,
want that story to be a
yes,
book,
yes,
I've been getting demands from
yes.
people like, you have to do a short story or something with that. We need it. There's that. But I've been writing, the poetry has been coming and I've been, you know, downloading them and putting them.
Right,
And
right,
so
right,
there's a
right,
book of
right,
poetry that is on the
right,
horizon as well.
right, right,
There's part two of Sherry Baby on the horizon and the All That Glitters story that I won,
right,
the true story that
right,
I will be doing. And then there's another nonfiction that I'm working on called
right,
Can't Make the Stuff Up. And
right,
so my life has been a series of you can't make the stuff up. You in my life is a you can't make the stuff up. Raquel in my life is a you can't make the stuff up. Marlon, my
yeah,
designer, and just
yeah,
everyone, my publicist,
yeah, yeah,
Rel and
yeah.
Renee working on my site, like all the people who've come around.
Right,
It's
right,
really a part of the you
right.
can't make the stuff up. And I want to write,
Perfecto.
yeah, I want to write that too for others to let them know that, or just for people in general, that once you open up and you
Right,
allow God to work through you, or allow spirit in the universe to come through you,
right,
then things go into alignment and everything lines up for you. But you have to yield, you have to want it, pray for it, be very clear, and then
right.
allow yourself to be used.
So that
Allow
spiritual
yourself-
part was ingrained in our experience as we
Yes,
progress through
yes,
the writing of your book.
yes. I
That was
that was a main
yeah,
main
yeah,
driving force. I give
right,
honor and glory every day.
right,
I
right,
know,
right, right,
I know how I made it here.
right.
Never would
So
have made it.
I never would have made it. So
Never would have made it.
as we wrap up again for the final time, I'm
For the
saying,
final time.
what is your where can they find the books?
So the books are available on Amazon. There's a Kindle version and
Right,
paperback version. An
right,
audio version will be ready, I would say within a month, because I'll be doing the recording of the audio version
Okay.
the last week of March.
Right. Right.
Listen, people are jumping on me like, where's the
Right. Right.
I needed time,
Right.
right? I just gave
Right.
birth. You have to
Right.
deal with the birth, right? So now I have to go in the studio and get reacquainted with these characters
Yeah.
and do the audio. Uh,
Right.
then they can also go to my website,
Right.
iamsharongordon.com,
Right.
and on Instagram at I am Sharon Gordon. Those are places to find me. The book is
Perfect.
right now housed on Amazon. Our intention is to also have it on my website where people are able to
Right. Right. Right.
get it.
And they can also get it from you in person as well,
And they
because
can
you're
get it
going to
from
be
in
doing your
person.
launch, right?
Book me to come do a reading in your town and do a brunch
Exactly.
in your town. Book me. I'd love to come. As you can see, me love chat. So book me and
And you're
bring.
going on tour, aren't you? Aren't you
I'm
going to
going on
different
tour with the
places?
book.
With
Yes, Terrell
exactly.
is working right now.
Exactly.
They're working in the
Yeah.
background, putting
Yes.
things together.
Yes.
We're actually getting calls from as far away as Antigua. Ghana
Yeah.
people are reaching out, London.
Ghana, right?
Ghana people are
Uh-huh.
reaching out. They want to
Yeah.
know Toronto. When are we bringing Sherry Baby to them?
Right.
Jamaica.
Right.
I already have a place in Jamaica and I don't even have a date. And I'm like, wait.
Right.
They're like, well,
Right.
the place is
Right.
here waiting for you. Just
Right.
give us the date. So for me,
Right.
that's encouragement. That's
Right. Of
that's
course, of course. And you do have a little bit of experience in marketing, but for new authors and people who have just started this, sometimes Sharon's journey is a little bit different because she's already out there in the public eye and in that community that she has written her book for. So that has lent itself for her to be out there a little faster than other authors who do not have that type of, what would you call it now? That type
resource,
of
community resource. I do have that. Yes,
exactly
yes,
right.
yes.
You do have that. So we want to thank you, Sharon, for sharing, and we want to encourage others to yes, others to go out there and get our book on Amazon and buy it and give it to a friend. Our plan
Yes,
to also get it and give it to a friend for the holidays coming up
yes.
this year, Christmas. Get it and hand it over to a friend, or sometimes the enemy too. Because
Ah.
you never know. But thank you. Any final thoughts before we say bye?
Final thoughts. I just want to say all honor and glory must be given to Almighty God, and God will send angels to guide you on your journey. He really does.
Mhm.
And if you are um, serious about what it is that you want to do,
Yeah.
you ask for your help. Your help cometh from the Lord, and it
Mhm.
will come. I'm promising you that. I'm telling you it does. Don't worry about the how. Just start doing it. Just move. Just write. Get up
Right.
and write.
Right. Just
Just get up
right.
and write. Just
That's
write.
my philosophy.
Just
Just
get up
right.
and write. I
Right.
promise
Just
you, get
right.
up and write. If I
Thank
show you my office right now, you'd see little notepads everywhere.
everywhere.
Dr. Shelley know me. I scribble. I'm a scribbler.
Right. Yes,
Scribble.
you
Whatever
are.
works for you. If
Right.
talking in the
Whatever
book,
works for
whatever
you.
works for you, get it
Whatever
out of
works
you,
for you.
though. Get it
Right.
out of you. That's what I'd like to leave you with.
Right. Thank you so much, Sharon. And I'm Dr. Shelley Cameron. I'm an author myself and also a leadership coach. I do book coaching as well for the individuals who may want to know. And this is it. And my research was all on success and how do you do it? That's how I reach out to other persons who are successful or who want to be successful. So thank you again, Sharon. And it has been an absolute pleasure just chatting with you.
Thank you, Dr. Shelley.
Blessings on your next journey, okay?
Ashe,
Thank you.
I embrace it and thank you.